Right. Good evening. Welcome to another live feed Rashad Mitchell's live YouTube channel. This is live right now. I'm going on live, and thanks for those who are going to be tuning in real soon. We're going to be getting to the Bible study time, like in the Spirit Study Bible, get to Psalm 104, 105, and 106, and more chapters to read from the Book of Psalms and the Life of the Spirit Study Bible. Also get into the book I've been reading for a while. Been following me, Horns, Hogs, and Nixon. Texas and Arkansas. That's the matchup that was played back in December 6, 1969. And that's a great memorable moment in college football history and sports history because it was the Dixie's last stand. It was the all-white team versus all-white team, something that will be the last that you will see in sports history due to the integration that would take place moving forward in the 70s, moving to the following decade. So that's why it's called Dixie's last stand. So we're going to get into that, chapter 13 and 14. And also I'm going to do my Football Friday with Rashad Mitchell during this period of time. Talk about the college football playoff matchups for next week, next Saturday, and next Friday, actually. Next Saturday, everything starts. This will be in the making. Got, the first round matchups. And that's basically it. Talk about the Heisman, who's going to win the Heisman Trophy. And then get into the NFL, go rewind what happened last week, and then get into what's going to be taking place this weekend. That's to know, things to know about the matchups coming up, things of that nature. So let's get into it, man. The Word of God comes first and foremost. Let's get into Psalm 104, verse 1 through 35. And it reads, "Praise the Lord, O my soul. Praise the Lord, O my soul. O Lord my God, you are very, very great. You are clothed with splendor and majesty. He wraps himself in light as with a garment. He stretches out the heavens like a tent and lays the beams of his upper chambers on their waters. He makes the clouds his chariot and rides on the wings of the wind. He makes winds his messenger, flames of fire his servants. He set the earth on its foundations. It can never be moved. You covered it with the deep as with a garment. The waters stood above the mountains, but at your rebuke, the waters fled. And at the sound of your thunder, they took to flight. They flowed over the mountains. They went down into the valleys, to the place you assigned for them. You set a boundary they cannot cross. Never again will they cover the earth. He makes streams pour water into the ravens. It flows between the mountains, and they give water to all the beasts of the field. So the wild donkeys quench their thirst. The birds of the air nest by the waters. They sing among the branches. He waters the mountains from his upper chambers. The earth is satisfied by the fruit of his work. He makes grass grow for the cattle. All right, 3 people already like the live feed. Thanks. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We got 15 people tuning in. Appreciate it. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel. He makes springs pour. He makes springs pour water into the ravens. It flows between the mountains. They give water to all the beasts of the field. The wild donkeys quench their thirst. The birds of the air nest by the waters. They sing among the branches. He waters the mountains from his upper chambers. The earth is satisfied by the fruit of his work. He makes grass grow for the cattle and plants for man to cultivate, bringing forth food from the earth, wine that glads the heart of man, oil to make his face shine, and bread that sustains his heart. The trees of the Lord are well watered. The cedars of Lebanon that he planted, there the birds make their nests. The stork has its home in the pine trees. The high mountains belong to the wild goats. The crags are a refuge for the conies. The moon marks off the seasons, and the sun knows when to go down. You bring darkness, it becomes night, and all the beasts of the forest prowl. The lions war for their prey and seek their food from God. The sun rises and they steal away. They return and lie down in their dens. Then man goes out to his work, to his labor, until evening. How many are your works, O Lord? In wisdom you made them all. The earth is full of your creatures. There's the sea, vast and spacious, teeming with creatures beyond number, living things both large and small. There the ships go to and fro. The Leviathan which you formed to frolic there, these are all look to you to give them their food at the proper time. When you give it to them, they gather it up. When you open your hand, they are satisfied with good things. When you hide your face, they are terrified. When you take away their breath, they die and turn to the dust. When you send your spirit, they are created, and you renew the face of the earth. May the glory of the Lord endure forever. May the Lord rejoice in his works. He who looks at the earth and it trembles, who touches the mountains and they smoke. I will sing to the Lord all my life. I will sing praise to my God as long as I live. May my meditation be pleasing to him as I rejoice in the Lord. But may sinners vanish from the earth and the wicked be no more. Praise the Lord, O my soul. Praise the Lord. All right, let's break it down. Psalm 104 verse 135. That means that God, you are very great. Now, this psalm is a hymn about God's creation of all things and his providential care over all his works. It emphasizes his involvement with all he has made, for he dwells in the world and sustains it. What God continues to do in the universe reflects his glory. Yet, God's creation is marred because of sin and evil. Thus, the psalm ends with a prayer for God to remove from it all things that are wicked and all those who sin. All right, we got 6 likes. Thank you. For those who, if you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe. We appreciate it, man. 6 people like this video so far. Appreciate the support. All right, let's keep it going. Psalm 105, verse. I gotta get to verse 1 to 145. Get to verse 4 and 15. All right, let's get into it. Verse 4 of Psalm. Wow, 7 people. Thank you, man. Appreciate it, man. 7 people are liking this video. Appreciate it. Appreciate you. All right, Psalm 105, verse 4. Look to the Lord in his strength. Seek his face always. Remember the wonders he has done. Okay. Look to the Lord in his strength and seek his face always. Let's look into that verse. Look to the Lord in his strength. That means that we are invited not only to seek the Lord's presence, but also the power and strength of his grace. And we all need God's empowering grace in order to persevere in salvation, live a life pleasing to God, witness in the power of the Holy Spirit. We must also daily look to God and his grace, or we will face spiritual weakness and defeat. Thus, we must stir ourselves up constantly to seek him earnestly with our whole hearts, to expect signs of his presence and power in our lives. And verse 15 says, do not touch my anointed ones. Do my prophets no harm. Do not touch my anointed ones. What does that mean? That means that in this context, the anointed ones like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, with his new name Israel, and Joseph. We may not conclude from this verse, however, that we should give heed to every person who claims to be anointed. All right, let's go to Psalm 106, verse 15 and 37. Got 7 likes, man. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate the support. Thank you. Verse 15. And so he gave them what they asked for and sent a wasting disease upon them. Sent a wasting disease. I mean, we must beware of desiring and pursuing what is not in God's will. When we insist on satisfying selfish desires, God sometimes does have our own way, but with it comes spiritual leanness or physical calamity. God may allow us to pursue things contrary to his revealed will, such as an unholy vocational ambition, an unholy love affair, worldly pleasures, covetous desires, or ungodly fellowship with unbelievers. But in the end, those things have destructive consequences. In verse 37 says, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters to demons. Sacrificed their sons to demons. Those who serve idols in Old Testament times were naturally obviously dealing with demons. Behind all false religion or demonic influence and activity involving deception and various forms of bondage and oppression. Number 1, likewise, when a believer in Christ conforms to the world and adopts its ungodly customs and ways, he or she is in reality submitting to demonic influences. Today, some in the church unknowingly sacrifice their children to demons, in a sense, by allowing them to be influenced by the ungodliness and immorality of the world through the entertainment media. Unbelieving companions are instruction contrary to biblical truth. All right, let's get to Psalm 107, verse 6 and verse 13. Then they cried out to the Lord in their trouble. He delivered them from their distress. Cried out to the Lord. 4 times the Psalms use this phrase, and 4 times it is stated that God delivered them from their distress. God frequently brings his children to a place where their own self-sufficiency fails, where no human being can help, but in order that they might cry out to him in humble and childlike faith. And verse 13 reads, then they cried to the Lord in their trouble, and he saved them from their distress. He saved them from their distress. It means that, note that even when we have only ourselves to blame for our troubles, God desires to deliver us. Thus, even if we are experiencing great distress, knowing that God may be judging us, we can still put our hope in his mercy and cry out to him in faith for his forgiveness and help. Psalm 108. Let's go to verse 9. And it reads, Moab is my rash blazing. Upon Edom I toss my sandal. Over Philistia I shout in triumph. Moab, Edom, and Philistia. That means that Moab and Edom and Philistia were Israel's enemies on her eastern, southern, and western borders, respectively. The last chapter I'm going to read is Psalm 109, verse 1 to 31. Let's get into that. And I'll be done with this and move on to the other book that I'm going to be reading. All right, verse 1. O God, whom I praise, do not remain silent, for wicked and deceitful men have opened their mouths against me. They have spoken against me with lying tongues, with words of hatred they surround me. They attack me without cause. In return for my friendship, they accuse me. But I am a man of prayer. They repay me evil for evil, and hatred for my friendship. Appoint an evil man to oppose him. Let an accuser stand at his right hand. When he is tried, let him be found guilty, and may his prayer condemn him. May his days be few. May another take his place of leadership. May his children be fatherless, and his wife a widow. May his children be wandering beggars. May they be driven from their ruined homes. May a creditor seize all he has. May strangers plunder the fruits of his labor. May no one extend kindness to him, or take pity on his fatherless children. May his descendants be cut off, their names blotted out from next generation. For the next generation. So may the iniquity of his fathers be remembered by the Lord. May the sin of his mother never be blotted out. May their sins always remain before the Lord, that he may cut off the memory of them from the earth. For he never thought of doing a kindness, but hounded to death the poor and the needy and the brokenhearted. He loved to pronounce a curse. May it come to on him. He found no pleasure in blessing. May it be far from him. He wore cursing as his garment, and it entered into his body like water, into his bones like oil. May it be like a cloak wrapped around him, like a belt tied forever around him. May this be the Lord's payment to my accusers, to those who speak evil of me. But you, O sovereign Lord, deal well with me for your name's sake. Out of the goodness of your love, deliver me, for I am poor and needy, and my heart is wounded within me. I fade away like an evening shadow. I am shaken off like a locust. My knees give way from fasting. My body is thin and gaunt. I am an object of scorn to my accusers. When they see me, they shake their heads. Help me, O Lord, my God. Save me in accordance with your love. Let them know that it is your hand, that you, O Lord, have done it. They may curse, but you will bless. When they attack, they will be put to shame, but your servant will rejoice. My accuser will be clothed with disgrace and wrapped in shame as in a cloak. With my mouth, I will greatly extol the Lord. In the great throng, I will praise him. For he stands at the right hand of the needy one to save his life from those who condemn him. All right, so that's it. Let's break it down. This verse that I just read. Let's get into it. It says, do not remain silent. That means this psalm appeals to God to judge and punish those who are wicked and deceitful. This prayer reflects a concern that justice be done on earth through the righteous punishment of serious criminals who hurt others for personal gain, To carry out just retribution is the only way to protect the innocent and ensure that lawlessness will be held in check in society. But the psalmist's prayer will find ultimate fulfillment only when God again sent his son Jesus Christ to destroy all evil and to reign on earth. All right, so Psalm 110, 111, 112 being that Monday. So that's it. 110, 112 on Monday. So that's it. So I'm done. Let's get into this other book that I've been reading for a while. Then go right into Football Friday with Rashad Mitchell, college football, and obviously the NFL. Right, chapter 13. Let's get into it. On November 19th, 1966, Bob McKay was about to suit up for the Longhorn freshman team against Texas A&M, hoping to beat the Aggies and win the right to enter the dining hall through the front door. The Notre Dame-Michigan State rivalry, the Notre Dame-Michigan State game, the game of the century, was on a radio in the dressing room. When the Fighting Irish meekly accepted the 10-10 tie, with Coach Eric Parsegian directing the Irish to run out the clock, taking over on their own 30 with 84 seconds remaining, McKay led the jeers. We all cussed Parsegian for not going for the win. McKay says, why would you not play for the win if you're out there? 3 years later, the Longhorns remembered their disdain for Parsegian and had take the tie on a road mentality in a number 1 versus number 2 showdown, and recalled McKay's outspoken derision. But by then, they all were accustomed to McKay's inability to camouflage his feelings. He might have been scared of Darrell Roy's power, but he was liable to say exactly what he thought to just about anyone else. He wasn't a chatterbox like James Street. But when McKay talked in that West Texas growl and got that sardonic smile on his face, he would make everybody laugh in the huddle on the sideline. In the dressing room, even while running sprint sprints, he was a big un. The giant offensive tackle with manhandled defensive ends and relentless, aggressively chasing down other defensive players in a wishbone attack. He came from Crane, a West Texas oil field town where his dad worked for Arco. Through grade school, Bob rode his bicycle to the high school football practices, watching and counting down the years to when he could play. The college recruiters began dropping in at Crane High School when Big Bob was a senior. They came from all over the Southwest Conference, but only one mattered. Skip over like I usually do. Skip some of these paragraphs. Not going to be all over the place, all in one place, all at once. After battling a shoulder injury that required surgery in the spring of 1968, McKay was starting by the time he was a junior. He's one of the handful of Longhorns who saved the 1968 squad, which had seniors like All-Americans Ken Gitney at guard, Chris Gilbert at halfback, and Corby Robertson at linebacker, might have been better than the 1969 team. But the winning streak continued through 1969. It was so easy. McKay was near disgusted. Blank halfway through the season, the second team had lettered, and we hadn't yet. He said it was a system that required players to participate in a certain number of plays to become varsity lettermen that season. He had to come out so early, and Coach Royal was going to let us embarrass anybody. But this also meant that when the coaches believed the starters hadn't played enough to be physically tested, they had to run conditioning wind sprints on Sundays. Guys, McKay asked his teammates, could you imagine if we had lost this game? When Royal told McKay he had been named to the Look magazine All-American team, selected by the Football Writers Association, it meant he would get a free trip to New York the weekend after Thanksgiving for pomp and circumstance and filming an appearance on a Bob Hope special. McKay and fullback Steve Worcester were on the Look team. The other team tackle, Bobby Woosh, was on the American Football Coaches Association All-American team, sponsored by Kodak. At 6'6" and 245, really, McKay wasn't poisoned even before the ball was snapped. Wentz was the other other tackle. Right, got 8 people. Wow, 8 likes. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. That's a lot. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Okay, Wentz, the other tackle, was a 6'3", 221-pound junior and was scary in a different fashion. A soft-spoken teddy bear away from the field, Wentz would say sir to professors and sometimes even to the guy across the aisle in the class. He fooled his coaches too, because it was hard to imagine that this meek kid on campus could be so devastatingly mean on the field. The transformation on game day astounded his teammates until they got used to it. Wentz was a football player, Bob McKay says. I happened to be masquerading as a football player. Bobby was good, and I happened to be following him around. Wentz loved making one block on a near, excuse me. Wentz loved making one block on or near the line of scrimmage, and then once the back was in the open field, which happened a lot in '69, sprinting downfield and nailing some poor sack safety trying to close down the ball carrier, he often just took off, not worrying about the defensive end across from him until the whistle blew. Anyone was fair game. It was unusual to see a tackle Wentz flying to the pitcher on the film, blowing the linebacker or defensive back right off the screen. The Longhorns howled as they saw Wentz work in the Sunday movies. Skip that. The Longhorns between the two All-American tackles were undersized even for their era. Left guard Bobby Mitchell, the former Wheat Ridge former star fullback fighting injuries. Randy Stout got a lot of playing time in his place. Stout was 6'2" and 241, but the other three men between the tackles, Mitchell 5'11", 206, center Forrest Wiegand, 6'1", 200, right guard Mike Dean, 6 foot, 195. All were lighter than Steve Worcester, the fullback they were blocking for. Royer knew how to read the various challenges presented by prospects and occasional hostile mothers. Royer took Dean and his parents out to dinner. The coach made a point of sitting next to Nadine. See, Mike Dean, Randy Stout once planned to go to Texas A&M. He was the star lineman of Coach Emery's Ballard's Texas State Championship team at St. Angelo Central High School. When Ballard accepted Darryl Royer's offer to join the Longhorn staff, Stout headed for Texas with Coach Ballard. He says, "You never thought you were going to lose." At small high school, Wiegand was the star, but he hadn't had to learn very much about defense. He just ran around and made all the tackles. At Texas, it was different. He laughs and says that Coach Mike Campbell's lectures about scraping here and scraping there, taking the bullet down a shoulder and filling gaps, all went right over his head. Had no earthly idea what they were talking about. But he was a strong athlete, and he was switched to center. The Longhorns finally gave up on the thought of redshirting him in 1967 and made him the starter for the final 5 games of that season. The primary reason was injuries, but he also had shown he could handle the position. He was even better when University of Texas went to the wishbone. Blocking schemes were about scrambling and letting certain men go while double teaming others to create avenues and gaps and mismatches. From Set Street to Reed, creating dilemmas for the defenders left unblocked. To do it all right, it took smart linemen. The Longhorns up front did it right. All right, so let's get into it, man. Chapter 14 is be my last chapter for the night. And get into obviously the Football Friday with Rashad Mitchell. Let's get into it. Happy Thanksgiving. This is chapter 14. All right, let's get into it. When Texas A&M beat the Longhorns 10-7 in 1967, the Aggies left the score up on the scoreboard until the next fall. The Longhorns were discussing and thinking how it's pathetic. How one win over the Longhorns so monumental estimate the Aggies act as if it was the best thing ever to happen on the college station campus where there were no girls and nobody had any hair. The Longhorns whipped the Aggies 35-14 in 1968 in Austin. But the Thanksgiving Day return to College Station in 1969 was going to be catharsis for the seniors who had been on the same field 2 years earlier. If that wasn't enough, now the stakes were even higher because of Ohio State's loss to Michigan and the Longhorns' decision to number one. Despite the rivalry and the incentive, Captain Ted Coy was worried that the Longhorns might be looking past the 3-6 Aggies and already looking about the showdown with Arkansas. He even made a little speech about it. Fellas, we have to take care of business. Then before the game, when the Texas A&M band began playing the Aggie War hymn, to Aggies it was glorious, to Longhorns it was obnoxious. Coy looked around and noticed the steely looks of anger among his teammates, especially Tom Campbell and Bob McKay. Hullabaloo, connect, hullabaloo, connect. It was like putting the 67 score back up on the scoreboard. The Longhorns led 39-0 at halftime. Jim Burleson ran 63 yards for the first touchdown. Steve Worston scored twice. James Street ran one in. And what was this? Split end Cotton's Spaver. Uh, threw a 37-yard touchdown pass on an end around to tight end Randy Peshkum. Texas had 337 yards of total offense. At halftime, the Aggies had 4 first downs. At one point, the Aggies actually lined up in a wishbone. They hadn't done that before. Tom Campbell took it as a sign of desperation. Besides, the Longhorns had the best defense in the country and stopped the wishbone because they worked against it in practice. The next defensive huddle, Campbell turned to Freddie Steinmark. We got him right where we want him, Campbell said. Steinmark gave it a slight grin. So overall, the Longhorns had settled for 49-12 win as they came off the field after the game. Right, so in Little Rock, on Thanksgiving, the Razorbacks also had no trouble with Texas Tech winning 33-0. Bill Barnett scored 3 touchdowns. Bill Montgomery was 13 for 22 for 220 yards. As Frank Burris excelled, he always appeared unflappable, but says he had felt pressure all season to live up to what we always thought might happen. Every game that we won that year, I said to myself, one more, and please keep us getting better. It went on and on, and we just agonized over every game we played, and once we got there, it was a relief. The Razorbacks' defensive line, though, was getting banged up. Terry Don Phillips hadn't played in 6 weeks, but was traveling with the team, thinking his career was over, and that this was a reward. At pregame meetings, if he spotted a teammate putting down his fork, Terry Don would ask, "Hey, you gonna finish your steak?" He was sitting in the dressing room at the Tech game in Little Rock when Burris approached. "Do you think you could be ready?" "For what?" "For Texas." Burris asked Phillips to stay in Fayetteville through the Thanksgiving weekend to work out under the tutelage of Charlie Coffey. Burris said it would be great if Phillips could suit up against Texas, at least as insurance. Early in the Thanksgiving week, the word circulated that the Razorbacks would practice that weekend. A group of seniors approached Burris and asked to be given Friday and Saturday off before reporting to watch the game film Sunday, which would make it a normal work week. Burris went along in part because it would seem like a standard operating procedure, and he didn't want his team to get too keyed up for this one. Plus, like Texas, the Razorbacks had a delegation heading for New York. Chuck Dickus and linebacker Cliff Powell, who were on the Kodak team selected by the Coaches Association. Burris gently put his foot down, though, to center Rodney Brand, who was on the Look Football Writers Association team that will be in New York through Monday to film the Bob Hope special appearance. They asked me not to go, and Brand said he didn't fight the coaches on it. This was the Razorbacks' second appeal of the season to Burris about practice issues. After 30-6 victory over Rice, Burris roasted the Razorbacks for their lackluster performance in the humidity. The next day, after teaming senior defensive back Terry Stewart, serving as the diplomatic spokesman for the team, his point was that in the tough end season practices on AstroTurf were draining the Razorbacks. I think we had the feeling that we were being pretty successful and that they were still working us pretty hard, being pretty tough on us. Coach Burris came in and we talked in front of the team. I don't remember it being confrontation at all, but I think maybe the coaches were feeling the pressure of the season as it went along, as we kept winning. got coast to the game with Texas. The coach probably felt the pressures more than the players did. After the Tech game, because some of the players left Little Rock with their families that were headed home, the teams chartered flight back to favor have plenty of open seats. Arkansas kicker Bill McClard drove from Little Rock to his family's home in Norman, Oklahoma. On Friday morning, he got in a touch football game with buddies in the front yard and took an accidental headbutt that made it seem as if he had taken a pop from Joe Frazier. He took 6 stitches at the emergency room. Just thinking, God, if it had been worse, how would I have explained that? Despite the shot to the head, he might have a shot at making a kick to win the national championship. All right, so that's it for chapter 14. I'll be in chapter 15, 16 sometime next week. Chapter 15 and 16 next week. Probably on Tuesday, maybe Monday. That's it for today. With that, now it's time to get into the Football Friday with Rashad Mitchell. We're going to continue on. Now, as far as college football is concerned, the college football playoffs are set. We got the first round byes with teams like Oregon, Arizona State, Boise State. What's the other team? Arizona State got a bye week, first round bye. Boise State has a first round bye. Oregon has a first round bye. Here's that bracket. I know the 3 teams I announced. Arizona State got a bye. Boise State got a bye. Oregon. Georgia has a bye. So everything's set, man. History gonna be in the making next week, next Friday actually, when Notre Dame plays against Indiana. That's a historical moment because you're gonna have first time in major college football history where you have a team like Indiana and Notre Dame playing each other for a right to advance to the next round. They play in the first round matchup. So that's something that's historic that you're going to see next week, next Friday, Indiana at Notre Dame next week. So that's history in the making. It's no better than that. And then Saturday, we got a triple header. We got SMU. Well, Indiana first and foremost, so see that at number 10. Number 7, Notre Dame, they see that at number 7. So right now, December 20th, number 7 seeded Notre Dame will play team seeded Indiana at Notre Dame. Then Saturday, we got triple header extravaganza. We got 11 seeded SMU against number 6 seeded Penn State. And then 12 seeded Clemson will play Texas, 5th seeded Texas Longhorns. Then the 9th seeded Tennessee Volunteers will play on the road against 8th seeded Ohio State Buckeyes. Those games are going to be on Saturday. Yeah, so the bye weeks, the first round bye is Arizona State, Boise State, Georgia, and Oregon. First round bye. So I'm putting it to college basketball in a sense, and also the NFL where we got teams with a bye in college football. as far as the playoff sense is concerned. Yes, so what you're gonna see in the college football playoffs is like equivalent to college basketball tournament with these buys. For example, like back in 2011, they had 68 teams granting 60 buys, while 8 teams compete in the first round, the first 4 games for the remaining spots in the round 64. So from 2011 to 2015, the first 4 was considered the first round. The round of 64 played on Thursday and Friday was called the second round. The round of 32 was then called the third round, consisting of games played on Saturday and Sunday. Stuff like that, like buys. And also, obviously the NFL, same thing. National Football League. We have teams with first round buys. So that's what you see with the NFL, according to the NFL in a sense too, and college basketball, as far as the tournament is concerned. But more importantly, like the NFL aspect, as far as like having that first round bye, tournament style. That's what you have. I'll go back to like 2009 Big East men's basketball tournament. We had double buys as the conference invited all 16 members to participate for the first time. So with the number of games each round to 4. The the 4 highest seeded teams were advanced to the third round of competition. The fifth to eighth seeded teams given buys to the second round, and the bottom 8 competed the first day. So it was like the tournament, NCAA tournament kind of thing. Whether it be in the conference or in general. Double buys were no longer needed by 2013. by the Big East or add to the SEC conference. So these buys is kind of similar, like I said, to the NCAA tournament, where it be, you know, a conference tournament. It's still equivalent. So like I said, that's what's on the docket with the games that's going to be played next week. You know, Notre Dame, Indiana, then the three games on Saturday after the Friday game between Indiana and Notre Dame. The next Saturday you got, you know, SMU against Penn State. Clemson versus Texas. Ohio State versus Tennessee. So you got 4 games next week. Clemson versus Texas, Tennessee, Ohio State, SMU and Penn State, and Notre Dame, Indiana. So you got 4 teams with bye weeks. Got Oregon, Arizona State, Georgia, and Boise State. Those are the 4 teams that got bye weeks. Right, so that's 9 people that like the this video. Appreciate it. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel. All right, so let's get into it, man. The Heisman Trophy is tomorrow. I think it's going to be, you know, Travis Hunter. I think he's going to win it. You know, he's a two-way player. He can play offense, defense, which has definitely been spectacular this year from an offensive standpoint. I think he's going to be the front runner to win the Heisman. I think he should be able to get it done this year. He was 6th in the nation receiving, 92 catches, 1,152 yards receiving, averaging 12.5 yards per catch and 14 touchdowns. So I think he should definitely be the Heisman Trophy winner. I'm shocked it'd be a landslide. Obviously, Genty, the Boise State running back, is going to be in the running for the Heisman. He had a great year, obviously, rightfully so. 2,497 rushing yards, 29 touchdowns. So there's a reason why he's been the best back this year. Cam Ward is going to be in the Heisman finalist, 36 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Shedeur Sanders, I think Shedeur Sanders was in the Heisman race. He threw 35 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. So that's basically it for that. But I think Travis Hunter's going to take the Heisman. I think he should win it. Quickly go over the finalists. Shedeur Sanders is not going to be in the finalists. It's going to be Aston Genty, Travis Hunter, Cam Ward, Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel, Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, and Aston Genty. All right, so that's it, man. Let's look at that for the college football landscape of things. Let's get into the National Football League from last week. What stood out last week is the Kansas City Chiefs, man. They just continue to win these close games. I mean, just the way they just find ways to get it done in a close situation. They never panic. They know how to get it done. And they was able to win again. Once again. What a surprise. They get it done again. By winning 19-17. That's what this team does. They just find a way to get the job done. You know what it takes to win it, their business. 1917 over the Chargers last week as they become once again the champions of the AFC West for the ninth straight time. That's what they do best is win the division, handle their biz. But they are beatable, but they just know how to win these close games, man. They just have a knack to know how to win close games in tough situations. Mahomes is just cool as a customer can be. It's like being vulnerable they are. They just know how to pull out these close games. And they won 1917 last week. The same identical score that they had the week before against um, the Raiders. They won 19-17. The same identical score, and they do the same thing again against the Chargers. So now they play Cleveland Sunday. The Rams handled their business. They snapped the 7-game winning streak of Buffalo, winning 44-42. 320 yards was thrown by Matthew Stafford. Nukua had 12 catches for 162 yards and a touchdown. As the Rams remain in contention. As they won yesterday also, winning against the 49ers. They 8-6. So they were 7-6 after they beat the Bills, snapping their 7-game winning streak. 44-42 was in a shootout at home. So now the Bills fall to 10-3. And the Rams in that game went up to 7-6, excuse me. He had 320 yards by Stafford. That guy snapping his Bills 7-game win streak. So give him credit for the Rams. All right, other games that stood out last week. Seattle in the battle for the division for the top. They beat Arizona 30-18. That was a big win for Seattle. They're 8-5 right now. They're like sole possession of first place. Yeah, 8-5. Also, what a big time win by Minnesota. A big time performance by Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is playing great. His best season ever. 28 touchdown passes. He threw for 347 yards. That's career high, and 5 touchdowns as they beat the Falcons 42-21. All right, let's get into move forward to week 15. Got some great games this week. What stands out this week? You got maybe a possible Super Bowl preview. You got 2 games that may be a possible Super Bowl preview. For one, you have Buffalo and Detroit. That could be a Super Bowl preview. Pittsburgh versus Philadelphia. That's another Super Bowl preview. That's some good games. Green Bay, Seattle. That's a good game. The Chargers and the Buccaneers. That's a good game. Even the Dolphins and Houston, Texas. That's a good game. And then you have Indianapolis versus Denver. That's a good game. All right, so let's get into what you need to know this week. Let's go over that. It's week 15, man. Week 15, and we got a lot of It's down the stretch. It's down the stretch we come. When it comes to the National Football League, it's coming down to the wire. Who's going to finish strong? This is an interesting article I see. Before I get into that, about the Chiefs, where they rank among the worst 12-1 NFL teams ever. That's a good point, man. When you look at the Chiefs, man, again, they've been winning a lot of close games. You know what I'm saying? They have not been blowing teams out. A lot of close games. So you got number 5, they got the 2020 Kansas City Chiefs. They were 12-1 at the time. Finished 14-2. Tennessee Titans, they were 12-1 at the time. 1990 San Francisco Giants, San Francisco 49ers. 1990 had them on this list. Rightfully so, they were 7-0 in one-possession games in their first 13 games in 1990. I see why. Played some close games. Yep. 1976 Oakland Raiders. They got number 1, the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, they've been playing a lot of close games. One-possession games, they're 10-0. They matched the 1990 49ers by winning the game in which the opposing team botched the snap in field goal range. Yeah, they all beat the Chiefs. So only 6 of the 21 teams that have started the season 12-1 since 1966 ended up winning the Super Bowl. That's 1975 Steelers, 1976 Raiders, 1984 49ers, 1985 Bears, 1991 Washington Redskins, and 2004 Patriots. Let's just get into it, man. Break down the games that's coming up this week. We're gonna talk about all the games, but give stats of the week. Stats for the for the certain matchups. Let's get into it. We're gonna start with the Browns and the Chiefs, who are 12-1. Play the 3-10 Browns. Not a great game, but you look at this matchup. Keep eyes on Patrick Mahomes. He has been sacked 13 times in the last 3 games, and already more times, 35 than ever in the season. So they're gonna be dealing with Myles Garrett, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. So we'll see if they can protect the offensive line, protects Mahomes in this situation. For the Browns, keep your eyes on James Winston. Can he remain patient and stack methodical scoring drives against the Chiefs defense that has allowed the second fewest explosive plays in the NFL through Week 14. Set knows that Browns wide receiver Jerry Jeudy has 50-plus receiving yards in 6 consecutive games, which is the longest of his career. It's not a great game. The Bengals and the Titans. Look at Cincinnati playing very well offensively, especially with Jamar Chase. He leads all wide receivers in receptions, 93, yards 1,319, and touchdowns 15. But the Titans' pass defense is number 1 in the league. They're tops in the league, allowing only 175.5 yards per game. So keep your eyes on the defense of the Titans going against the offense of the passing offense of the Cincinnati Bengals. Said know that the Titans lost to the Jaguars last Sunday, clinched their 3rd straight season with 10 or more losses. This first season is the first time the franchise has done that since 1983 to 1986, and the team was in Houston. And there was the Houston Oilers. Commanders and the Saints. Said know about this game is that Saints running back Alvin Kamara is 62 yards rushing away from reaching the first 1,000-yard rushing season of his career. 62 yards rushing yards away from reaching his 1,000-yard rushing season of his career. This is not a good game. Ravens and the Giants. This could be a huge day for the Derrick Henry in this rushing attack because the Giants have been terrible against the run all year, going up 4.9 yards per carry, while Baltimore is averaging 5.72 yards per rush attempt. That's the 2nd best in NFL history behind the next 3 Browns. Tommy DeVito is going to be starting at quarterback to this Sunday. Maybe they have a chance against the Ravens. The Ravens defense is terrible against the pass. They have allowed 264.9 passing yards per game. So we'll see what happens with that. Sutton knows that quarterbacks of the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, has 29 passing touchdowns this season, which is the second most in the NFL behind Joe Burrow's 33. Already his most since having 36 in his unanimous MVP season in 2019. Panthers and the Cowboys is not a good game. Stat note: the Cowboys and the Panthers have two of the worst rushing defenses in the NFL. Carolina ranks last in rushing yards allowed per game, and Dallas ranks 30th. Terrible game right here. Jets and the Jaguars is a terrible game. Stat note about this game is the Jaguars defense ranks last in yards allowed per game, 396.1. That's on pace to beat Jacksonville's second highest yards per game allowed through a season in franchise history. This is a pretty good game, Dolphins and the Texans. Keep your eye on the turnover battle as far as Dolphins are concerned, because Houston's defense intercepts passes at the second highest rate in the NFL at 3.72%, while Miami, on the other hand, has thrown interceptions out on just 1.1% of his pass attempts. And Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback of the Dolphins, has thrown 11 touchdowns to 0 interceptions in his past 4 games. All right, stat knows that Tagovailoa has completed 70% or more of his passes in 7 straight games, which is the longest streak in Dolphins history, tied for the second longest in the season. Only Joe Montana, 8 straight in 1989, has the longest streak since this was tracked first in 1933. Also, keep your eyes on C.J. Stroud, the quarterback of the Texans. He has had the second most dropbacks, 252, against 2 split coverage. The Dolphins run split safety looks on 47% of opposing quarterbacks' dropbacks. So this could be a problem for Stroud because he has a QBR of 36, 30th when facing split safety coverages, completing 63% of his passes, 27 with 6 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. Also, the Texans have the worst of rushing success rate of 34% against 2 high coverage, third worst. That's third worst. All right, this is again to the Colts and the Broncos, 4:25 p.m. It's a good game. It's very massive for the Colts because the Broncos are their primary challenger for the final AFC wildcard spot. So keep your eyes on this matchup: Colts versus the Broncos. Broncos are 8-5, 6-7 are the Colts. The Broncos lead the league with 47 sacks, so they must try to do the same against Anthony Richardson. Try to get after him. He's last in the league in completion percentage, 47.4%. He also continue to be on a hunt for the big players. He leads the NFL in air yards per attempt, 12.1. Stat knows that the Colts have the second easiest remaining schedule of any team in the NFL. Only the Falcons have an easier finishing slate. This will be a Super Bowl preview, possibly a Super Bowl preview. The Buffalo Bills 10-3 against the Detroit Lions at 12-1. Can the Bills defense play better than they did against the Rams? They gave up 44 points. They allowed 11 of 15 third down conversions. So you're going to be challenged against the league's highest scoring offense in the Detroit Lions, averaging 32.1 points a game. Stat knows that the Bills have scored 30-plus points in 7 straight games, which is the longest streak in franchise history and one shot of the longest in NFL history. Another Super Bowl preview possibility is the Battle of Pennsylvania. 10-3 Steelers at the Philadelphia Eagles, who are 11-2. The Steelers have the top 5 rushing defense that has limited opponents to 91.5 yards per game. So it's going to be a great contrasting of styles. The run defense of the Steelers against the rushing offense of the Eagles, led by Saquon Barkley, who's the leading rusher. So the Pittsburgh young offensive line will also face a test trying to stop and deal with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. So keep your eyes on that. For the Eagles' perspective, they are last in the NFL in passing attempts, 328 and 31st in passing yards, 2,348. See if they get into a rhythm. See what happens. Stat knows that the Steelers have lost 10 consecutive road games versus the Eagles dating back to 1965. That is tied for the longest road losing streak against a single opponent in franchise history. The Patriots and the Cardinals. Stat knows that the Cardinals have lost 3 straight games in a row. Weeks 12 to week 14 after a 4-game winning streak. During that span, they're 15.3 points per game, ranks 29th in the league. Right, that's 10 people liking this video. Again, if you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe. All right. Also keep your eyes on the Cardinals. They may get out of this slump that they're dealing with as far as their offense concerned, as far as in the red zone. The red zone rate in the past 3 games and all losses 18.2% compared with 3.3% in the first 10 games when the Arizona was 6-4. Now they're going to be hosting a Patriots team that's tied for the 21st in the red zone defense, allowing a rate of 60.9%. The Cardinals can get a lot of help with that. See what happens. Chargers and the Buccaneers is a good game. Buccaneers have won 3 straight games to get to 7-6. They move ahead of the Falcons into first place in the NFC South, but they have maybe their toughest remaining opponent, and that's the Chargers. So Los Angeles, they allow a league low 15.9 points per game and has given up only 15 passing touchdowns this season for the Chargers. Chargers have not lost back-to-back games since week 3 and week 4 when they lost to the Chiefs and the Steelers. See what they did this week. Stat knows that the Buccaneers are riding a 3-game winning streak after losing 4 straight from week 7 to week 10. They've rushed for at least 150 yards in all 3 games, and which is tied for the longest streak in franchise history. In the nightcapper, the Packers and the Seahawks. 9-4 Packers versus the Seahawks. 8-5 running back Josh Jacobs of the Packers has 11 rushing touchdowns at the running back position, including 7 over the past 3 games. That's tied for the second most in a 3-game span in Packers history. Now the Seahawks, on the other hand, have allowed 4.7 yards per carry. Only 6 teams have allowed more per carry this season. They have given up just 10 rushing touchdowns this season, second 7 fewest. So the last time that Jacobs went up against Seattle, it was 2 years ago when he was with the Raiders, where he totaled for 303 yards total from scrimmage, 229 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns in an overtime win. Set note that the Packers have not lost to a team outside of their division since week 1 against the Eagles. For Seattle, keep your eyes on the offensive line of Seattle. They came off their best performance of the season last week. They had 176 yards rushing against Arizona. Keep your eyes on that. What can they do for encore against the Packers defense? Can they run well against the Packers defense? Right, 2 Monday night games coming up. The Vikings and the Bears. Stat knows that wide receiver of the Vikings, Justin Jefferson, had 132 receiving yards with 2 touchdowns in Week 14 against the Falcons. He has never had back-to-back games with multiple receiving touchdowns in his career. What's that saying is that the Vikings can reach the playoffs with a win or a tie. They can also clinch a spot this weekend if the Rams either lose or tie against the 49ers, or the Seahawks either lose or tie against the Packers. Then we got the Raiders and the Falcons. That's 2 games that's coming on Monday. Bears and the Vikings and the Falcons and the Raiders. Stat note that the Falcons' 4-game losing streak is their longest since 2022. They haven't lost 5 straight since 2020. What's that saying is that the Falcons had 85% odds of winning the division prior to their 4-game losing streak. Their chances at the NFC South title improved to 37% with the win or fall to 12% with the loss. All right, that's basically it. For a look at the NFL, what you need to know, what you need to keep your eyes on. For the National Football League concerned, as we head down the stretch. Also, the Steelers can clinch a playoff berth with a win or a tie. Also, they can reach the postseason this weekend with a Miami loss or tie, or Indianapolis loss or tie. Also, the Lions have a 75.7% chance to earn the #1 seed in the NFC, which increased to 84.9% with the win. Also, for the Bills, the odds of earning the number one seed in the AFC increased to 30% with the win. The Broncos have a chance to get into the playoffs with a win. 92% chance to increase. The Colts odds at the postseason climbed to 53% with the win, falls to 6% with the loss. The Ravens are still in the hunt for the AFC North crown, holding a 20% chance to win the division compared with the 80% with the Steelers. The odds improved to 23%, the win fall to 6% with the loss. The Commanders have an 85% chance to make the postseason. The odds will rise to 92% with the win, falls to 68% with the loss. For the Bengals, they may have a chance. It's got a 3% chance at the postseason after their Monday night win over the Cowboys. The Chiefs have a 77% chance to earn the top seed in the AFC. That will rise to 87% with the win, or fall to 61% with the loss. All right, so that's it for the night, man. Hopefully you enjoyed everything I talked about, Bible study time. I'll be in Psalm 110, 111, 112, and much more after that on Monday. The book about Texas Arkansas game from 1969, that's coming up for Monday, be chapter 15 and 16. And also did the Football Friday with Rashad Mitchell. So that's it for today's show. Thanks for all who tuned in. Check. Let me see what's going on with the live chat. Again, I'm just gonna block this. This is why I hide the chat, because I ain't want to look at that. See, that's the thing. Gotta be careful what you're looking at with these live chats. That's why I block it and keep it hidden for now on. Not gonna look at the live chat. It's not worth it. Don't want to look at it no more. Just want to look at the likes and subscribers. That's it. As long as whoever likes this live feed and subscribe, that's all that matters. Simple. Thank those who subscribe to the channel. Much love to you. Be back on Sunday for the week that wasn't NBA. And get back to that on Sunday. May do something in the afternoon. See what happens. And like I said, I'll be back doing the Bible study time on Monday. May do the Texas Arkansas book. Stuff like that. So that's it for tonight. Until then, talk to you soon on Sunday.